confess you feel the way I do. Confess, I think you want me to. There's something deep inside that you hide but you can't suppress. Just confess, please confess.
Hi everyone, this is Samantha Daniels at Love Samantha Daniels Style. For the next 30 minutes we are going to be talking about dating, sex, love, romance, and relationships. So make sure you raise your hand to ask me any questions or make any comments about the topics that come up during the next half an hour. So I'm going to get right to it. The topic I want to talk today about is what happens when you're trying to date and you have children. This is something that people have been bringing up to me recently. How do you date someone who has kids? And if you're somebody who has children, how do you date? Because it's complicated. You have a child. You don't want the child to get attached to a new person in your life, especially if it doesn't work out. But at the same time, the new person in your life doesn't feel like they're completely a part of your life if you don't introduce them to your child. And the other thing I continue to hear is that on that every other weekend, when the person who has the child for the weekend, they go MIA, and the person who's dating them doesn't know what's happening, and their answer is, well, I need to give all the focus to my child. So it creates this very stop-start relationship situation. So I see a lot of hands, so what do y'all have to say about that? I'm going to call on Dangerous first. Dangerous, go ahead and pick up the mic.
Hello, thank you, Samantha. It's good to see you. On kids and dating, I've noticed something very interesting, and I just wonder if this is consistent. I have children, and I have a hard time actually dating people who don't have children. It's like they miss a certain aspect to life. I don't know what it is, but there's no connection. If they have kids, we can connect. If they don't have kids, there's just no connection there going on at all.
Now, Dangerous, do you want to have more kids?
I could have more kids. It's not something I'm looking for or trying to avoid. If I met a woman who I truly loved and she wanted to have kids, I would certainly have kids. If I met someone who was, extremely interesting, she didn't want kids, I could say, we don't have to have kids. It just all depends on the relationship I'm in, because kids are a byproduct of those relationships.
I hear what you're saying a lot, actually, that some people feel that when they have kids that they want to date somebody who has kids, and that's a preference to some people. But to other people, they find that to be difficult because sometimes the kids don't get along. Or sometimes if you're a man and you're dating a woman who has kids, usually she has primary custody. So all of a sudden you're dealing with a circumstance where the woman has her kids most of the time and you have your kids some of the time. So it presents a circumstance where it's very difficult to date because there's not a lot of available time. A lot of men will also tell me that they don't like to date women who have kids because there's always issues with the exes. So even though you maybe bond on certain levels because you both have kids and you both understand what it means to have children, the X factor and what goes on with the person that you're dating and their kids can add a whole host of complications to the relationship. So I think that different people feel differently about this circumstance. Different people feel that it's a good thing and people feel that it's a bad thing, and I think that it's on a case-by-case basis, and I think that sometimes it'll be somebody who thinks like you, oh, I really want to date someone who has kids, and then you date somebody who has kids, and then all of a sudden it becomes a really sticky situation, so then the next person that you date, you don't want her to have kids because you said, I just went through that, and you know what, I was wrong. It's better if she doesn't have kids. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. So I'm going to call on Diana Victoria right now.
Hi, Samantha. Hello, everybody. Mary Blue put in text what I have on my mind about kids and dating should be separate until you're sure about the person when it's serious. I think that, and I don't have kids, and I actually don't date very much. I spend too much time on Paltalk, but that's my dating, sorta, kinda. But it seems to me that people who have kids need to, I agree with Mary, people who have kids should keep it separate until they know and until they know the person. Don't just interrupt or don't just introduce them right away. Just keep it separate and what?
Well, I agree with you. I think that it should be a circumstance like that where until you're sure that the relationship is going somewhere with the person that you're dating, it doesn't make sense to inject the kids because kids become very clingy. They get used to somebody in your life, or they might get upset about a new person in your life. And so given that background, a lot of times it's easier just to not bring the kids into the picture or bring that new person into the kid's life until you're sure. But then what happens is that when you're dating that person and you're not involving them in your life with your kids, that makes it very complicated because let's say it's a weekend where you have custody of the child or the children. It's your weekend. That means that if she's not invited to be a part of your life when you have your kids, that means that whole weekend she can't see you, you can't see her. Let's say you have plans with her tomorrow night and your child's not feeling well. So you need to stay home to make sure that your child is okay. If that person knew your children, then you could say, you know what, we can't go out as planned, but you could come over and we could watch a movie and just make sure that Joanna's okay. But if the person that you're dating doesn't have anything to do with your kids, then you can't do that. So I think that when you're the person